Hey everyone, it's the Art of Warlord here, and today I have with me
Gary Smith, and I'm the principal engineer on Wizard 101, and my focus is mostly gameplay.
Cheryl Starcher, and I am the lead programmer for Wizard 101 and Pirate 101. And I'm also Moolinda Woo on the forums.
Today we're going to be doing some question and answer portions for today's video, and kind of like in the past. So question one, what do you do day to day at the KI office? And do you have like a daily ritual, like walking in a nearby park or getting a sandwich at a specific shop or anything?
I mostly program new things. Occasionally I work on designs for new things, or I go to meetings about designs for new things.
Okay.
Most of the things I program are design or gameplay related.
Okay.
And in terms of rituals, when I first get into work every morning, I play Wizard 101 for about an hour.
Hmm. Do you like the new dungeons?
I haven't tackled the catacombs. I rescued Doug. Some of those I like to wait for the first nerf. Because they're really,
You're one of those people.
I'm one of those people, and since I know Matt will nerf them eventually, I will wait. And I've been trying to help a lot of people with Team Up I'm trying to get to helping 2,000 players. If you go to the guy next to the kiosk this morning, you'll see why.
How many people are you on so far?
I have about 1,520 or so.
Oh,
so I still have 400 to go.
Well, good luck with that. Do you mainly just do like Wizard City, or do you actually mix it up?
I mostly try to help people in Azteca,
Okay.
or maybe Chrysalis, somewhere in there.
Day-to-day, programmers work on new features like the Beastmoon Hunt or spell writing. We fix bugs. We look into client crashes and sometimes server crashes. We look at error logs from the servers. We do a lot of documentation, and we also write tools that support the other teams. So we actually have a tools programmer, but we also do game things for tools that support other teams. For example, like the sound team only was able to place ambient sound emitters with cubes, and so we did a conical sound emitter that they can place and a linear sound emitter, like a spline, where you can place like dots down on a river, and it'll just sort of follow the river instead of having to do like a whole bunch of like cubes over it.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, and I guess as far as a daily ritual, I do like to drink tea, and we also have a person who brings tacos to the office a couple days a week, and so I always get a taco. So, yeah.
With Wizard 101 being over 10 years old, there must be a lot of complex and complicated coding involved, especially with the game being active and evolving every day. What challenges come with coding it today compared to whenever you did it in development or whenever you first started? And if you could, would you give yourself any like past advice to make it like easier to code Wizard today?
One of the big challenges is not causing bugs in existing systems as we make changes or add new things. And another challenge is maintaining the code that people who left KI wrote. We have a lot of legacy code that we have to, keep working.
Is there any advice you'd give like either your past self or like past people that worked there for making coding today easier from in the past?
When I wrote the original housing system, I built in a few restrictions that I wish I had made more flexible now.
Well, it is very complicated and complex. And today, our team size is about 5 or 6 for the programmers on Wizard and Pirate. But over the years, we've had about 30 different engineers go through, and so that's a lot of different styles and people not realizing there's some code over there that does the same thing they're doing. So it's kind of like repeated stuff, and so yeah, it is really complicated and complex. And one of the toughest things we do when we add a new thing is to make sure we don't break something else. We have server code, we have client code, we have some shared code. We have different servers. We have. I'm sorry, this is probably a little too technical.
No, it's fine, honestly.
Yeah, we have like login servers, we have zone servers, we have lots of different types of servers, and so. There's a couple people we have that you can give them a problem and they will just find the solution, and not everybody can, just always find the solution, but there are a couple of people who are just so awesome that you're just like, I have no idea what this is. Can you give it a try? And 2 days later, they're like, bam, it's done. Anyway, luckily we have them on our team.
Are you allowed to just say how much line of coding there is in Wizard?
Well, I am allowed. I think it's over 1 million for the server and over 1 million for the client. Some of that is shared, so it's kind of duplicated, but it's a lot.
Yeah, I couldn't even fathom going over over 1 million lines of coding, just trying to find something that's really minuscule and such a complex thing. Like, it might, like, a lot of people just don't seem to wrap their head around it, I guess. Has Wizard 101 ever connected you and your family together, and how?
So my daughter played Wizard 101 for a long time. She played in the alpha and in the beta, and she played for years. We used to play together. For a long time, she ran a blog, which is still around. And now she's a game programmer, and so we can talk about game programming things or design things, which is pretty neat.
My stepdad installed the game. He was a tech guy, so he was the first person in my family to install the game. And then he helped my mom get on too, and they would play together. And my stepdad was a completionist or an explorer, so he would listen to all the dialogue and he would explore all the nooks and crannies of every zone. And my mom was a PvP. So the stores that would sell the cards to get the pets. And so that's really what gave you the advantage in PvP, although I guess it is still today as well. But back when it was starting, that was what gave you the advantage. And so she would go buy these pets, and some of the stores were up in, she lived in New Jersey, and so some of the stores up in New Jersey, they didn't have locations in Austin, and so she would send me the code for a pet so that I could get that pet too. But yeah, my stepdad lived in Singapore, or he worked in Singapore for a number of years, and so the three of us would play. I would be in Austin, my mom in New Jersey, my stepdad in Singapore. We'd all play together, so it was fun.
What were your first days at King's Isle like, and did they compare to any different jobs that you've had in the past?
So when I first started at King's Isle, I worked on a now canceled MMO.
Okay.
And the first thing I did was, for that game, was player housing. And the atmosphere and work environment were similar to the other game companies I've worked at.
Well, King's Isle as a game company was sort of a fun adventure. So I worked at IBM before King's Isle, and so I don't know that it was quite as exciting, to be starting to work at IBM. But I was working in the hardware division, developing and testing memory subsystems of the servers, and so I was looking for something more creative. And when I started working at King's Isle, they said I should play World of Warcraft and Toontown, and I love them both. I don't know if you've played them both, right?
I have not played WoW or Toontown, funnily enough.
Really?
Yeah, no, Wizard was in fact my first online game.
Okay, great. But, so I played WoW, and my boyfriend and we totally got addicted, but we really enjoyed it. And so it was good, because then I sort of because I wasn't a gamer, and so I kind of understood more of like what we were building. Just starting King's Isle, we would all kind of hang out and do things and play poker. We would go to people's houses and play poker. I do want to mention that it was really beautiful out there where our first office was when I started at King's Isle. We were by the 360 bridge, and it has like a lot of trees and the river and all that, and our windows were huge, and they overlooked all this. It was beautiful. Yeah, so anyway, I guess that was it. That was my last point about that.
Over the last 10 plus years, you've helped create a wide variety of systems for the game, from castle magic to making the game run more smoothly through behind the scenes coding. What's your favorite system you've introduced, and what favorite system have you introduced but you feel is the least recognized by players?
Well, I really like how castle magic turned out. I've written puzzle systems for around half a dozen games in the past, and for a while, I'd been thinking about how to make a player-facing puzzle system. And Castle Magic is my design and my implementation. And I even named Babbage Bassett, and I wrote his dialogue.
Okay.
Which is pretty neat to hear it recorded. And as for the least recognized, maybe playable music instruments, I can tell you how they came about too. I used to, when I was playing through Crab Alley, there's this band at the very end of Crab Alley.
Yeah.
And I always felt like you should be able to play those instruments. Like that would be, and I kept thinking, well, why doesn't design make a design for playing musical instruments? And I finally realized nobody was ever going to do that unless I designed it. So I went ahead and designed it.
One of the things people might not realize is a lot of work, but when you mouse over an item and you have the bubble that pops up with the stats, I did that.
Oh.
Although many people have added to it over the years. I can't entire responsibility for that. But I did the Bazaar, which was sort of my first big system that I did on my own. And I really enjoyed doing that because it had some challenges. I had to make sure all the data didn't come down all at once. And so it was just sort of a fun thing that I got to do on my own. I know something I did recently that probably nobody even notices is when something is a member benefit, we have sort of standardized what that looks like on all the screens. So there's like a little red, it's like a wax seal with an M or something. And
yeah.
So that was something I did recently where we just went through all those screens and standardized, the symbol for like the member benefit. So some of it's not, not exciting, but it's all good.
Both you and Cheryl have created mini games for Wizard 101, such as Skull Riders, Catch a Key. What other mini games would you like to introduce to the game?
Well, I haven't really thought about mini games a whole lot over the years, so I don't really have anything saved up, but I know Gary has some ideas.
I created Catch a Key because I was bored with Shock-A-Lock. I did a prototype of Catch a Key during the first game jam we had at KI. And later, I actually tried to fix all the flaws in Shock-A-Lock when I did Lava Lock. I also designed all the Pet Maze game and all the housing games. And so I think doing some more housing games would be interesting. I've done prototypes for a few other ones, and we've talked about a few, so it's possible we'll do some in the future.
What's the most intricate code or system that you feel you've created or implemented in the game, and how long did it take to create?
One of the things that I've done over the years is the chat filter system, and I don't know that that's super complicated or took a long time, but it was really kind of innovative at the time because everybody had their chat filters of bad words that you couldn't say, but we had a dictionary of words that you could say. And so I had to figure out how to get all of the words from all of our quests and NPCs and items into a list. And so I built a tool to do that. And that was, I don't know, I thought that was kind of an innovative approach to chat filtering that we were trying out. And I think it worked.
So both fishing and gardening were pretty complex. With fishing, I built a prototype in one milestone, and then I built the feature in the next milestone. So fishing might have been on the order of 5 months to complete. Also, Castle Tours was really complex.
If you could rework 2 systems in Wizard 101, what would they be? And do these systems that you want to change work together somehow?
Well, I think our sound system would be a good candidate for a rework. We sort of feel like maybe that's what causes some of the client crashes that we see, but we're not really 100% sure. And it seems like if we're going to revamp a system, that's probably a good one to rework. And I would also I would love to see our launcher, the patcher, go quicker. Like when you're an established player and you have all the world, and we do an update, or if we don't do an update, so you just played yesterday and we didn't do an update, and it just takes you so long to get into the game. So that's wish we could kind of rework.
So I've already reworked a bunch of systems. I'm really happy with how badge filters turned out.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah, it's so much better than the way badges were before. But I did the best I could, but I'm not completely happy with the new friends list.
What is your favorite world in the Spiral? And if you could choose the next world to release, what theme would the world be?
So my favorite world is Avalon, or maybe Mirage. And if I could choose to release the next world to release, I'd say I think Cool Ranch would make a neat wizard world.
Well, I do like Wizard City, and in particular, I like Triton Avenue with the area with all the waterfalls flowing down.
Yeah.
And I like the Kraken there that you battle in front of everybody.
Yeah.
It's fun. I don't have too many ideas for new worlds. I mean, I've heard ideas that we have internally, and I like some of those, but I haven't really come up with new idea myself for a world.
So I know that you love the help kiosk. How would you feel about making a challenge mode where your stats get squished to the world's average level?
So I guess that would make it more interesting for high-level players that are helping players in the first arc. I've considered that giving more credit for players that are helping other players around their level. I've thought about that some. That's one of the reasons that the Spiral Showcase encourages you to help players around your level, to try to try to get help for those players.
I know that you've had a large hand in games such as Tangle Tales. Did that game inspire you to make anything in Wizard 101 or motivate you while developing Wizard 101?
So you know about Tangle Tales, huh? That was the second game that I did freelance, and the original version for the Apple II was written entirely in assembly. Also, I'd like to note, Tangle Tales was you played an apprentice wizard at a wizarding school, and it came out before Harry Potter. If you're interested, you can play the PC version of Tangle Tales for free at archive.org. And if you're curious about other stuff I've done, there's a couple Game Boy games I did that I'm really proud of. Ultima Runes of Virtue 1 and Ultima Runes of Virtue 2. They're for the original Game Boy, which was 4 shades of green. But I'm really happy with how they turned out. And in relation to Wizard, I guess I've always liked fantasy games, and so Wizard resonates with me for that.
If you could give a tip to an aspiring software engineer, what would you say?
I would say if it's an aspiring game programmer, I would say make a game, even if it's really simple. Just completing a game, it shows people that you have tenacity, you can figure things out, you can problem solve. I guess if you're looking for, a game or an engineer in a different industry, same thing. If you're looking for tools, make a tool. If you're looking to go into web development, do some HTML and create a web page, and just do something so that you can show your interest.
So I have 3 words of advice. Make games now. If you're interested in making games, don't wait. If you're just starting out and you want to make simple games, look into Scratch. It's a tool put out by MIT where you can make 2D games. Or if you're ready to make some more complicated games, then download Unity, where a lot of professional games are made in Unity, and there's thousands of tutorials about various aspects of it. And so if you're interested in making games, start now.
Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Cheryl, for taking the time to do this interview with me. Like, subscribe, comment, believe in the myth. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.